Hi guys, I'm Erin.
I'm Nicole.
Welcome to Dude That's Fucked Up.
Yay!
It is 2018.
Oh my god.
Right now, on this day,
It's so weird.
the year of our Lord, January 1st, 2018. We're recording.
The year of your Lord.
I don't know. I don't know. Whoever.
The
Whatever.
year of their Lord.
Of the Lord. A Lord.
Of a Lord. Of Lord with an E.
Yeah.
Maybe this is her year.
Our Lady Lord. How are you? How are your holiday celebrations?
Good. Yeah, the holiday celebrations were good. We've already been catching up this morning. We had our Google Hangout for December, which was a little late by a day. But
with our Patreon.
With our Patreons.
I can't ever figure out how to say it.
It's Patrons.
Patrons. Yeah.
And so that was really fun, but I had missed it because I was in Alaska and I couldn't keep track of what day or the time, or I just it was like a black hole.
Yeah, it's like you're in the Twilight Zone up there because it's like dark all the time this time of year.
Yeah, and there's just I had so much fun. I want to give a shout out to my sister-in-law Eliza because she is the best. She listens to the podcast, and she made sure that I always had plenty of wine in my glass. Aww. And we went out one night and it was really fun, and she talked me into doing stand-up, and she was being so cute. Like right before I went up, she was like, "Are you nervous?" And I was like, "Oh, a little."
Aww.
She's like, "Are you gonna have diarrhea?" I was like, "No." and then she was like, "Oh, well, you look beautiful, you're gonna do great." She was so cute.
Aww.
Yeah,
Is she the one that sent you the champagne flute?
Yes, that I had champagne in last night.
Aww.
Yeah, so she's amazing.
But
yeah, so that was fun. But I was gonna say, okay, I have a story that I was gonna share with you. It's just I don't know. I wish I would have handled it differently. I wish I would have handled it at all, but it wasn't about me. But we were on the plane. We were so tired. Our flight, we missed our connecting flight. We got stuck in Seattle for a long time. And Seattle was a total clusterfuck because it had snowed. Yeah. And it was crazy.
And it was Christmas Day, right?
And it was Christmas Day. And
damn.
So we get on this other flight that they call like a milk run because it stops in all these small towns in Alaska before it finally goes to Juneau, which is like a bigger town. It's the capital of Alaska.
Yes, it is.
And so there's just kind of people on there that live in like very rural Alaska and maybe don't like travel a lot or socialize a lot. Maybe that's rude. But they're so.
Well, there's a reason people live in rural.
Yeah.
Alaska.
Maybe they don't want to socialize. That's fine.
They don't.
But, you know, sometimes they have to come out with the rest of humanity, and whether they try their best or not, I don't know. But there was an incident. I was sitting on the plane, and we were getting ready to take off from Seattle, and it was not a full flight. It was like pretty empty, actually. And the flight attendant was standing in the aisle talking to another flight attendant, and they were waiting for everyone to get on board. And a man had gone back to the restroom and was like coming back up to his seat. And so there was a flight attendant in the aisle, and he was like, "Oh, excuse me, I need to get back to my seat." And she was talking to someone, and, you know, they had their clipboards or whatever. It's like a phone now, I guess. And they're like, you know, making sure everyone's on board and kind of looking around. And so she didn't hear him. And he goes, "Excuse me, are you deaf?" I said I need to get back to my seat. And I don't think she still heard him. And I was like, oh, my God. I was sitting right next to where he was standing. Like, he was standing right next to me. And I was like, oh, my God, oh, my God. And then
what the fuck?
Yeah, and then she still didn't hear. And so finally he goes, "Hello?" And she turns around and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he's like, "I need to get back to my seat. Could you not hear me? I asked you several times if I could get back past you." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he's like, "Are you deaf?"
He said that twice to her?
Yeah. Like the first time she didn't hear, and the second time to her face. And she was like, "No, I'm not." And her face.
What if she was hard of hearing, though? And
well, she wasn't. But yeah, well, it was
but still
the rudest thing. And I
It's
was
so
like,
rude.
and her face just like, you could tell like she was just like using every ounce of her being to not like be like, listen, you bag of dicks. Like, you know, like,
I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna throw you off this plane.
You need to be taken off the plane. I've called the police. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
And so,
Dude.
yeah. So she's like, okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You know, whatever. And he like walked by in a huff or whatever. And then I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And so then she like had a moment where she like looked at the other flight attendant and they had like their secret language or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then she walked away and then she came back towards me and I was like, if he walks by again, I'm going to elbow him in the nuts. Because I was in the aisle. And she was like, oh my God, did you hear that? I was like, oh yeah, whoa. And she was like, I can't believe it. And I was like, you know what? I forget what I said, but I was like, oh man. She said like some people, and I'm like, some people just don't know how to behave. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, ugh. And then later on in the flight, I like saw her when I went back into the bathroom. I had to poop. And then and then I saw her and I was like just trying to get to the bathroom. It was like somewhat urgent. And she was like, oh, hey. And I was like, hey, like just like don't want to chat. And she's like,
You're
oh
like,
my
I
God.
have to shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, excuse me. She's like, oh, she like put her hand on my shoulder. She's like, oh, you're just so sweet. I was like, oh, thank you.
And then you shit in the bathroom and stunk it up back there for her. Great. Some people just don't know how to behave.
Well, luckily,
Takes a shit 2 hours later.
luckily she it was beverage service, so she had gone up to the
Oh.
front, but then I was stuck back there with my own shit for like 30 minutes.
Good job.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, you should just you could just blame it on that guy then.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's a good idea. I'll be like, it was that awful man. He's just a skid mark on society. And also he left one in the bathroom.
Oh my
Gross.
God, dude.
How was your holiday?
It was great. It was so fun. It was, I don't think I had anything crazy happen. Nothing really fucked up like that while we were traveling. It was pretty smooth, easy travels. I don't know what we did this year that helped us avoid all of the craziness that we encountered last year.
Oh.
Well, that was like Thanksgiving last year, so I don't know. But we didn't have any delays. We didn't have any weird shit happen, so it was all pretty smooth. And I don't know. It was super chill. Yeah.
Oh.
Hung with my fam and DJ's fam in California and had a great time.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
You ate all the trifectas of fast food?
I did. I had In-N-Out as soon as we landed, and then had Del Taco, which is one that I miss almost as much as In-N-Out because there's no such thing on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then our favorite burrito stand at the bottom of our mountain, Rosa Maria's. Shout out to Rosa Maria's.
Oh.
Thank you for making such delicious tortillas and beans and everything. It's
What
wonderful.
burrito do you get there?
I get the meat, rice, bean, and cheese.
Yeah, that's where you go.
Yeah.
MRBC.
Yep, MRBC.
Or
I got it with
MBRC.
chicken. It was good.
Oh.
Usually it comes with pork.
Yeah.
But I was like trying to be healthy, so nope.
I love. I wish like
It's like
people
getting
knew.
a Diet Coke.
Yeah. I wish people
At a
knew what
fast
these
food.
burritos were like because they're literally like, how big
The
is that?
size of a newborn baby.
Yeah, they're the size of a newborn baby, and there's just a vein of cheese running through it. Like
So good.
It's just
Oh.
like it's like they took 3 handfuls out of like a shredded cheese bag and just like crunched it in there, like smushed it in.
Oh.
It's very good.
It's very good. There's several locations
Yeah.
throughout the Inland Empire. If anybody gets a chance, if you are not familiar, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ate too much food. I feel like absolute garbage. I think I'm gonna. I don't know. I gotta eliminate all the alcohol and and heavy food that I ate over the past like week and a half.
Yeah.
So
It's hard too because especially like a lot of people start diets today or whatever, or like tomorrow, I guess.
yeah.
Or maybe today if they're like really getting after it. But after eating like such crap, like
Yeah.
I ate like peanut M&Ms for breakfast pretty much every day. Not
Oh my
because
God.
not because I wanted to, but that's just like the kind of food that's in Pete's parents' house. It's all sugar this time of year.
Oh
and
yeah.
and so
Oh yeah.
it's like, there's not really any like there's no like normal food. I had an egg one day, but I also had peanut M&Ms. So it was like, you've like built up this like sugar tolerance, and then
Yeah.
if you start eating healthy today, it's like a crash.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
exhausting.
It is. I just need to like ease back into some sort of semblance of health.
Yeah. Like eat things that have been grown and not processed, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
uh,
Well, it's the new year.
yeah. New year. Maybe a new you.
Maybe a new you.
Maybe you're using this time to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Like become your best person. Maybe you're
Live
gonna
your best life.
live your best life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're it's a new year. So
New beginnings.
New beginnings. And some people take this concept a little too far, I think. We're going to talk to you today about somebody who did this in a very crazy way. Several ways.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a guy who was born Christian Karl Gerhard Streiter.
Yeah.
He's obviously from Germany, but this motherfucker is one of the most prolific con men in recent history, I think. So he was born in Germany, but he snuck his way into the United States, obviously. How else would you do it? He ingratiated himself into a lot of different people's lives by claiming several different identities through the years. So he's gone by Chris Crow, Chris Chichester,
Chichester, yeah.
Chichester, Chip Smith, and Christopher Gerhardt, among many other aliases. Go ahead.
Isn't that how you say junior in like bougie waspy circles?
I wouldn't know. Like a chip off the old block?
Yeah, I feel like it's very like Connecticut or something.
Yeah.
If you have a son that's like the second or the third, instead of calling them by your same name, you call them Chip, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think that.
Because Junior's too Bobo or something?
It's too like bland, or it's too much of what everyone does. It's like Chip's like the aristocracy's junior.
Yeah, Junior's too pedestrian.
But fucking Chip is dumb.
I like it. It reminds me of, I don't know, Chip Gaines, or like Chip and Joanna Gaines. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know that.
They're weird. Anyway, but among some of his biggest lies, some of his like most intense aliases that he made up were among them were that he was a baronet, a Mountbatten, which is a descendant of Queen Elizabeth's husband, and a Rockefeller. Those are some bold claims. Like, it's one thing to just like blatantly lie about what your actual name is.
Yeah.
Like, I can call myself by my middle name if I want to, I guess. But I don't know. And like people do this all the time with like online personas, I guess.
Yeah, but this is before the internet.
Yeah, this is well before the internet. This is like 80s.
Yeah, but okay, when I was doing research for this, I found this other guy His name's Christoph Rokencourt. Do you know who this
Uh-huh.
guy is? He also was a fake Rockefeller.
Oh, really?
So it's like a thing. Like,
I think it's just like such a recognizable name, and it's like it's the closest thing we have to like American royalty. So
yeah.
the name Rockefeller is just like synonymous with wealth and status and
Yeah.
power. So, and like if you're gonna like make up something so bold, like who would do that? I guess it's just so it's so intense. I don't know.
Well, what is it? On Gilligan's Island, the
Yeah.
Howls, or what is it? The
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but so let's just like
is that a part in here?
yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I was just thinking it reminds me of like Thurston Howell the Third. Like, I'm a Rockefeller. Like, I speak in a transatlantic accent, and yeah. Oh, weird.
So,
okay.
So he styled himself all these things, but he eventually fucked up really bad. So
yeah. Well, how do you keep track of like who the fuck you are when you've changed your name 30 goddamn times?
I know, it's like he just got so used to lying, I think, that it just became part of his being.
Yeah.
Also, he had a thing for C's. Chris Crow, Chris Chichester, Chip Smith, Christopher Gerhardt, like all these C names.
Well, probably
you'll see.
You'll see.
You'll see. I didn't even mean for that to be a pun. Thank you.
I got you.
Yeah, so when he was like 18 or 19, we're going to go back to his like early life.
Yeah.
Around 1978. So first of all, his first lie starts that we don't really know when his birthday is. He claims it's one date. There's evidence saying it's another day. So he's either 18 or 19 in 1978. And he decided he wanted to move to the United States after meeting an American couple who were passing through Germany where he lived. I think he's from like a kind of mountain town, resort town near the Swiss Alps or the German Alps, whatever. So he decides he's going to go to the United States. He obviously lied and said he was visiting these people that he just randomly met. I think he showed up on their doorstep and they're just like, no.
Oh, Creep City.
Yeah, so creepy. But he ended up not obviously staying with those people, but he found another family to ingratiate himself with, the Savio family. And they were in Berlin, Connecticut. I was like, wait, Berlin? What's happening? I don't know. It was weird. An odd coincidence.
I hate
that he ended up in Berlin, Connecticut.
I hate that there's like so many towns that are named like how there's Rome, New York.
Yeah.
Why? I Paris,
hate that
Texas.
Yeah, there's also what's the Versailles? Isn't that? It's like if you're gonna go with that name, you better say it right.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
But maybe he felt at home there because he was German.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. So the Savio family let him stay at their house because he claimed he was a German exchange student. He eventually wore out his welcome with them, though, because he was a total fucking asshole.
Okay.
Like, he was just an asshole.
I'm sorry, but like, oh, excuse me, hi, I need somewhere to live. I'm a German exchange student. There are fucking programs that like place people. You don't just show up and you're like, I need a house.
I think that's kind of what he did, but like I don't know how. I don't know. These people just seem like really nice people, and I was reading a lot of my research I got from this Vanity Fair article.
Oh yeah.
It's called "The Man in the Rockefeller Suit," and I think the guy that wrote the initial article wrote a book too. I don't know. One of the editors. Yeah, I think his name's Mark Seal. I think he wrote a book about him also.
I wonder if he was the guy in the documentary I watched, because there was like a writer that was friends with him.
That was a different guy.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. There's like a lot of... He met a lot of people over the years, but Vanity Fair always has like really interesting... Because they cover such, upper echelon scandals.
Yeah. We should also say, obviously, this guy was like very charismatic.
Obviously,
people liked him. Even though he's weird and all this stuff is weird, like somehow when they met him, it wasn't just like Creep City. They were like, oh, this guy's interesting.
Like he was kind of like, I don't think he was that good looking, but I guess like to some people he was. I don't know. Maybe an acquired taste. He probably carried himself and spoke to people in such a way that like, he was like a Ted Bundy-esque kind of guy.
Yeah.
So he wears out his welcome with this family. Like I was saying, this article that I referenced a lot in Vanity Fair, they interviewed the guy, the father of this family, of the Savio family, and he just like is like, this motherfucker, he was a piece of shit. Like he just does not hold back. He's like, I never saw him pick up a tool in his life. He was lazy. He was like always expecting everybody to do everything for him. Like he just had this air of like, you're my servant, please do my laundry, press my clothes. Like he was an asshole.
Ew.
So I think the final straw with this family is he like locked their daughter out of the house or something. It was so weird. I don't know. He's just an asshole.
Oh.
So yeah, he wore out his welcome, and then he decided by the time he left the Savio family, he was calling himself Chris Kenneth Gerhardt. So he totally changed his name already.
Yeah.
So he sets out for California to continue on with his original plan of becoming an actor. That's why he wanted to move to the United States. He was just he was really obsessed with American movies and television. So back to the Gilligan's Island thing.
Oh.
Gilligan's Island was his favorite television show. Is his favorite television show. So he loved Alfred Hitchcock and he loved Gilligan's Island. So he loved Gilligan's Island so much that he mimicked Thurston Howell III's speech pattern and accent so he could sound posh.
Oh,
and like,
my God.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw this last night when I was tired and I didn't remember, but I do not remember seeing that. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I guess, well, okay, so I watched a documentary on Netflix. I forget what it's called. Something, I mean, if you look up Rockefeller, you can find it. But it interviewed a bunch of people that he was associated with, like, through his journey. Like, everything we're talking about. So bougie. You know, like, you just, like, look at, there's, like, one woman who's wearing a scarf and, like, little ball earrings.
Like an Hermes scarf.
Yeah, and her hair is, like, parted on the side, and it's, like, blonde and gray, and it's, like, everything's, like, very manicured. And you just, you just look at them, and you're like, oh, yeah, that he was, like, trying to get in with a lot of rich people.
Yeah.
But waspy rich
like
people.
Like old money wasps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what he ends up doing. But along the way, he makes a pit stop in Madison, Wisconsin for a couple of years. I don't know. He just like got sidetracked or something. He realizes, okay, so he enrolls in college there. I think he like takes some like film classes or something. And he ends up realizing like, oh, I need to be an American citizen. He needs it just make things a lot easier for him, like being able to get around and establishing himself.
Yeah.
So he like meets this young woman. She's only 22 years old. Her name's Amy Drusille Dunke. I think that's how you spell her name, or you say her name.
Maybe it's Dunke.
Dunke. Like a donkey in Scottish. Scottish accent.
Like Shrek?
Yeah, like Shrek. Dunke.
Dunke.
So
Okay.
He marries poor Amy. She's only 22 years old in 1981. And literally the day after they get married and like everything's official and he has his green card, he heads to California. He's like, bye, thanks for the green card. But she doesn't end up filing for divorce until like 1992 or something. So I don't know. Poor thing.
I wonder if she was like really heartbroken, or if she was
Maybe.
like, bye. I mean, listen, she dodged a bullet.
Yeah, big time. Girl, I would have filed earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? She's lucky she didn't get more wrapped up in this shit, because it gets worse.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's so bad. So yeah, she definitely dodged a bullet from that fucking asshole. So he gets to California and immediately starts lying.
Who is he right now?
So he was still Chris Gerhardt, I think.
Okay.
At this point, but then so he's like trying to get work in acting. Obviously, it's really hard to do. Everybody in LA is trying to be an actor. Yep. So he realizes it's hard, and he ends up he finds one of the nicest neighborhoods in California, in Southern California, San Marino. Mm-hmm. So San Marino's super Tony. It's close to Pasadena. It's like adjacent to Pasadena.
What does Tony mean? I've never heard
fancy. This. You never heard you never heard like Tony restaurant, Tony neighborhood?
No. Oh. What is this from?
I don't know. Oh. I don't know the origins of the word, but that's
okay.
what it means.
Oh.
It means fancy.
Cool.
So yeah, so I guess the thing for context for this neighborhood of like visualizing it is so they shot The Father of the Bride near this neighborhood. Oh. So it's like those kind of really beautiful houses, perfectly manicured lawns, like everything's just super nice and pretty. And
yeah. It's like a real hoity-toity neighborhood.
Hoity-toity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's like classy. It's like classy.
Oh, want to know something?
Huh?
You want to know how you say hoity-toity in German?
Yes.
Ite petite. It was in that documentary. They were like blah 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 ite petite, and I like on the subtitles it said hoity-toity, and I was like,
I love that.
Weird. Yeah, so it's ite petite, or that sounds Italian, I guess.
Yeah.
Ite petite.
Ite petite. I just yell. I don't know.
Okay.
It sounds like eat your potatoes or something. I don't know.
Ite potato.
E.T. Petiti. Tite, I don't know. Donkey. So this motherfucker is rolling around this nice hood, and he becomes Christopher Chichester at this point when he ingratiates himself into this neighborhood. He does so by like going to the church, and that's in the neighborhood. That's like a good way to like meet all the people, see what the the social hierarchy is. He figures this out pretty quickly. So
pretty smart.
Yeah, he's super smart. He like has a lot of like practical knowledge about how to be social, and like he gets it. But I think honestly a lot of like what he knows is like, or like he models his behavior after like characters from movies and television. So So yeah, everything's made up. He even had business cards that had a made-up family crest on it, and he said he was Christopher Chichester the 13th, baronet.
That's
of where I don't know, but
okay.
I think this is how he claimed that he was a descendant of Lord Mountbatten.
Which it's like, okay. You know how like there's like lies when you're lying about something, say you're late for work or something, I don't know, right. And you have to like make up something.
Yeah.
You know, when people give too many details, you're like, wait, like why are you giving me these tiny little minute details that I don't really need? That's like that. Like 13th and baronet, it's like you don't have to go that far. Maybe just be the 3rd or 4th. By the 13th, it's like, well, you might be in a fucking history book.
Yeah, it's just like all these little things. It's just like he just embellished all of these lies so much. So just to keep it interesting, I guess. I don't know. And also just because it made it more obscure, I guess, too. So people were like, okay, and didn't question it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
I know. Yeah, somehow he got away with all this. Well, I think people who people with money don't really care who you are. Well, in some ways, as long as they think you have money. Like,
Yeah.
that's the vibe I got from, like, all these
Definitely.
people. It's like, oh, I thought it was, like, a little interesting, but, like, I wasn't going to ask him. That'd be rude. So
Right.
I just made an assumption that that's who he was, and because he had money and, like, looked cool or whatever.
He looked the part, and he acted weird.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like, he had, like, all these eccentricities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I saying that?
I think so. Yeah.
He was eccentric.
Yeah.
He was paranoid. He was weird. And he was an asshole. And so
Sounds
people
like
are
a rich person.
he's rich. He's rich.
The
And he
thing-
wears really nice shirts. So.
Yeah. Like, what's the one with the little alligator on it? That's like
Izod? Lacoste.
Lacoste, yeah. Izod, not Izod.
No, not Izod. No.
But also people were like, oh yeah, in this documentary I watched, they're like, yeah, and like he spoke perfect English. But I'm sorry, and maybe it's just because I know he's German, and like I'm not watching clips of him without knowing that, and like just listening to him talk, but he's clearly speaking weird. Like,
well, he has this like very strange accent. It's like intercontinental. Like you can't place it, and I think that's what throws people off. Is they're like, oh, he's like obviously European of some sort, and you can't really place the accent. It's so,
and I guess it's rude. You can't really be like,
no.
Why do you talk weird?
It's so funny. So okay, he does not sound British, though. He doesn't sound like Thurston Howell III. He just sounds like intercontinental. It's like a very vague European accent.
With a German, German underlying. But maybe I just think that because I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that seems right.
Yeah.
So he eventually he works his way into, he finds a place to stay with this older woman named Didi Sohus. Yeah. And it's like a guest house kind of like off the main house.
It's like some party room. It's like kind of dilapidated, but like in a fancy neighborhood, and it's just a place. Yeah, it's kind of like a place to crash or whatever.
Like a rumpus room.
Yeah.
It's the bonus room.
It's like a game room.
Yeah, so he's living in this woman's guest house, and she has a son named Jonathan. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan has a wife named Linda, and they move in with Dee Dee, like kind of temporarily, but they're there, and they like realize that there's a weird dude living in Jonathan's mom's guest house or rumpus room, whatever, and they're just kind of like, what the fuck? What's happening here? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And they start kind of being weirded out by him. And meanwhile, he's like going around town, and like everybody knows him. He becomes kind of like this like fixture of the community. All the old ladies love him. He like flirts with all the old ladies. He like goes out on dates with like the younger daughters and stuff. And he's like in the community. So
he's a man about town.
He's a man about town. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, it would be totally weird. Like, it is weird when older people, I think, make younger friends, sometimes.
Yeah, and she was, like, kind of, like, in her very later years, and I think she was an alcoholic also. So she was, like, not making, like, super solid decisions.
Yeah.
I think she was, like, in decline a little bit and an alcoholic, and so Jonathan and his wife, Linda, are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what's going on here?
Is this guy taking advantage of you?
Yeah,
like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So
are you
it was
giving
weird.
him money, and why is he living here?
Yeah, it was weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're all kind of weirded out, but everybody in town seems to really like him. Mm-hmm. And at some point in 1985, Jonathan and Linda go missing. Like, they just kind of disappear. And Chris, the now styled Christopher Chichester, we'll call him California Chris. he tells California Chris tells people that they went to Europe. They went on a trip to Europe, and they even had said, like, Linda had said some weird stuff to friends, I think, like, about how they were, like, going on some, like, government top secret, like, job thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
was weird.
Because when you work for the government and you have top secret jobs, that's what you tell people.
Yeah, you don't just, yeah.
Like,
I was, yeah. Like, I watched a 48 Hours mystery episode about this, and it was just like, this one friend was like, yeah, she told me they were doing some top secret job, but that's all she would say about it. And I was just like, huh? What the fuck is, like, no, I don't know. Either, everybody's full of shit in this situation.
Yeah.
So either way, it was weird. They just took off. Dee Dee, the mom ended up getting some postcards from Europe, supposedly from Jonathan and Linda after they had taken off. But nobody had heard anything else from them. And some of the rest of the extended family started being kind of weirded out. Linda's family was like, where the fuck is my daughter?
Yeah.
And Dee Dee eventually finally did file a missing persons report 5 months after they disappeared.
Oh.
Which is like kind of a long time. And by this time, California Chris had left California and was long gone. So
he's Connecticut Chris now.
He's Connecticut Chris now. So yeah, he moved back to the East Coast, and this is like the late 80s at this point. This is like 88, around there. He started telling people that he was Christopher Crowe. So that he was a producer. He was like a TV producer for the show Alfred Hitchcock Presents, because he loved Hitchcock so much. And there actually is there's a person named Chris Crowe in the credits of that show.
Really?
So it's like, yeah. So like, and people, there's no like picture along with the credit. Like,
yeah,
how would you ever know?
There's no IMDb in the 80s.
There was no IMDb in the late 80s. Like, no, but there's no internet. There's no way to like verify this. So like, he's like, yeah, this is the show that I produced. So,
also, I was going to say, like, if you were telling people that in Hollywood, people would be like, no, you're not. I know that guy. But if you're in fucking Connecticut talking to a bunch of people who are not in anywhere near that industry,
yeah,
they're all stockbrokers or whatever. Like, no one's going to know.
Yeah, he totally, like, removed himself from anything similar to what kind of lifestyle he was in before. Yeah. I mean, it's all very fancy still, but
yeah.
Yeah, like, these people had no idea, so they're like, oh, cool. And he had taken some more film classes at USC, I think.
Oh.
So he, like, had some knowledge, and I think he had done a cable access show for the San Marino, like, neighborhood. So he, like, had this, like, very remedial understanding of, like, production, and, like, it was just, like, he had, like, a little bit of practical knowledge, and was just like very dilettante about all the shit that he'd do, but he knew just enough that people were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, I'm Christopher Crowe. I'm a producer, and people totally believed him.
Yep.
So when he headed out to Connecticut, he had taken Jonathan and Linda's truck. He drove across the country in their truck, and he tried to sell it when he got to Connecticut. And he couldn't sell it. He was like trying to sell it to a son of a local minister. And it like seemed weird to the guy. Like, he didn't have like all the stuff or something.
Yeah.
So the cops are like, wait, what? Like, it was like a weird transaction. So the cops got involved. And at this point, he's totally unconnected. He's just like this guy who has their truck. And I don't know what story he told to the cops, but they don't make any kind of connection.
Yeah.
Like, and at this point, nobody knows that they're missing. Like, everybody assumes that they are in Europe. They are taking this like long vacation. So there's no red flags. There's no weirdness. It's just like, oh, my friends let me borrow their truck while they're on vacation. And everybody's like, okay.
And it's like on the other side of the United States. So it's like, there's not no it's it's like separated and not on everyone's mind. So
yeah, and I think too, like he had Dee Dee kind of like wrapped around his finger.
Yeah.
And she like probably verified with the cops, like, oh yeah, like they are in Europe, and if he says that they said that he could use the car, then that's fine. So
they're in Europe. Knows? Here's this postcard.
Yeah. All the evidence that's needed. Yeah, so he's just like talking his way out of stuff, and he finally gets, so yeah, there's no alarm bells though with that.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting a job at a small stockbroker firm. And he was definitely fired from there because he had no idea what he was doing. No. A, and B, they did a background check on him, and they realized he gave them David fucking Berkowitz's social security number.
O-M.
The serial killer, the son of Sam.
O-M-G.
He gave them David Berkowitz's social, like, what the fuck?
Like, oh god. Okay, if you're a smart criminal, you at least use a dead person's social security number, not one that's gonna bring up like fucking a serial killer.
Like one of the most high profile.
Yeah.
At that point, that it was only like 10 years later since like Son of Sam had happened.
Yeah.
And I mean,
my God.
Maybe a little bit later, and they're just like, what the fuck? And so they fired him, obviously, but didn't tell anybody, because that's like fucking, that's kind of gnarly. That's weird. Like, why would you not tell some sort of authorities about that? I don't know.
Yeah, like this guy's using, well, I mean, I guess maybe if you are an employer, maybe you deal with that occasionally, just like people who are undocumented trying to like get work, but that doesn't make sense for like a fucking stockbroker firm. Like, it's like white collar college graduate people. I don't know, like it's just weird. And he went in there and he's all, I'm a stock, like, what is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
What is going on?
He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he still somehow, after all that, got a fancier job on Wall Street at a place called Nico Securities Limited, where he was in charge of managing or selling Euro bonds, maybe.
Yeah,
sure.
Like he was like a manager of a whole.
He had a whole team of people.
Yeah, he had and there on the Netflix documentary, some guys like. I thought he was weird. One time he asked me, who buys Euro bonds? And I was like, that's a dumb question to be asking if you're in charge of managing the sales of them. But still, it's so weird. It just goes to show you, like, what having money does. People don't question you, like, or seeming to have money.
Right. So he like looked every bit the part of a rich guy. And there were definitely some people along the way who were like, fuck this guy, he's creepy and not cool, and he's obviously lying. Yeah. But those people were not the ones making decisions. Like he like dated a girl back in California in San Marino who was like, I went on one date with him. He drove me around in his shitty Datsun, and we ran errands, and he had Post-it notes all over the dashboard, and he was weird and talked about himself the entire time. It wasn't even really a date. And she's like, and I got home, and I was like, I told my mom, that guy's weird. He's lying about everything, and I don't ever want to see him again. Like, she knew. But who is she going to, like, what's she going to do? You know, who's she going to tell? Like, he hasn't done anything bad at this point. So it's like, this is just a weird dude that I don't ever want to talk to or speak to again.
I'm fascinated with what his Post-its said. Like, I wonder what, like, it was probably like
they were just notes to himself, I think. I don't know.
Like, were they like mundane things like feed the cat? Or was it like today your name is Christopher Chichester?
Don't forget your name.
You're Chris Crow. You work at Nico Securities or whatever. It's like,
seriously.
Oh, your boss's name is.
It's like Memento. It's like there's just goddamn notes everywhere.
I was just thinking it's like Clean Slate with Dana Carvey, where he has amnesia. And he has to watch like a video every morning of like who he is, and yeah.
Oh, like 50 First Dates.
Yeah, like 50 First Dates. Yeah, it's like, oh god.
This premise has been done before.
Well, he stole his life from movies, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah. Okay, so back to him working at Nico Security. So all of his coworkers were like, this guy does not know what the fuck he's doing. They are like, why are you how?
Well, it's making their jobs harder because they're having to
just
pick up the slack.
Yeah,
he's
like
all, "Dirt, what do we do here?"
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, yeah, just sell. Buy. Yeah. I don't know." And they're like, that's not what we do here, but so I think that this kind of says it all. Like, and like you were saying, it's just like rich people just look at other quote unquote rich people and are like, yeah, you're in the club.
Yeah.
So the quote from Vanity Fair that kind of sums it up in the article that I sourced heavily says, quote, he was hired by a now deceased ex-Goldman Sachs executive who was, quote, taken by people who seemed to be blue-blooded and wasn't the kind of guy who would necessarily check references. One of Crow's fellow employees remembers. So
yeah,
that's
sense.
the person who's making the decisions of hiring is this guy who just like is like, looks rich to me.
Huh. No, it's easy to see how the whole fucking economy collapsed.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you.
Thanks, Goldman Sachs.
Jesus Christ. Everybody's just making horrible decisions.
It's just a bunch of frat bros all fucking working there, like fingering their buttholes.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you're wearing a French collar shirt? You're hired. Let's do a fucking kilo of Coke and tank the economy. I don't know.
Boop, boop.
Yeah. So, yeah, he gets fired, obviously, because he sucks so hard at his job. And he goes to work for another really prestigious securities firm, Kidder, Peabody and Company.
Oh, my God.
I really do think everybody was just coked out of their minds in the 80s. And they're just, like, willy-nilly hiring anyone who acted like a swinging dick, who was, like, had confidence. They're like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, were they even looking at any references? I don't think so. I don't think they were looking at anything at all.
No.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
So, at the time he's starting this new job at Kidder, Peabody and Company, the cops in Connecticut that were investigating the weird like when he had the car of Jonathan and Linda. They didn't really let that go. They were like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is so weird. So they started investigating that. And they started to connect some dots and realize that he is the same person. Christopher Crow and Christopher Chichester are one and the same.
Oh, my God.
So he's either tipped off or he starts feeling some heat or realizes he's worn out his welcome everywhere. And he quits this new job like pretty soon after he was hired and disappears again. So then he reinvents himself once more and assumes his most over-the-top persona yet, Clark Rockefeller. Fucking guy.
Why not? Honestly, he just keeps getting more like prestigious with his jobs and his monikers.
It's just so crazy. I'm just gonna start lying more, I think.
I think in 2018, if we're talking about reinventing ourselves, I'm gonna be a Rockefeller.
Yeah, fuck it.
Honestly, like Nicole Mackey Rockefeller, I think it's fine.
But it has a good, nice ring to it.
And I think we should change the name of this podcast to Dude, That's Fucked Rockefeller.
Dude, that's Rockefeller. I don't know.
Rockefeller, that's fucked up.
Oh, God. Oh, Rockefeller. Oh, my God. So, okay. We're going to just, like, clip back into California real quick. So
Yeah. Because
we
as
can
he's
kind of
moving
circle
up,
back on that.
yeah, as he's moving up the corporate and cultural ladder in New York,
Yeah.
there's shit
Like
going down in
yeah,
California.
he's like reached the upper echelons of high society in Manhattan. But
He's all like pinkies up everywhere, like fucking.
yeah, we're gonna get into some of the shit that he's fronting with because it's ridiculous. Okay, so so detour real quick to California.
Okay. Yeah.
So Dee Dee either died or was like moved to a home, I think. So her house was sold.
Yeah.
And the new family wanted to put a pool in the backyard, so they started doing excavating in the backyard. Immediately find human remains in the fucking backyard of Dee Dee's house.
Oh my God.
So it's unclear who it is because the body's so badly decomposed. But the cops start to figure out that the remains could possibly be those of Jonathan. Yeah.
Jonathan, I'm in Europe, Suhas.
Yeah, Suhas, the son of Dee Dee. They end up confirming later on that it is Jonathan, but still don't know where Linda is.
Oh, she wasn't found in there too?
No.
Oh.
Nobody knows where she is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
and then someone knows.
Well, someone knows.
The problem is that they're a big fat liar all the time.
All the time. Who knows what
he doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah. He probably forgot his real name at this point. He's like so deep in the lie, in the bullshit.
He's like, I'm counting crows. No,
Cameron Crowe. Oh no, Christopher Crowe. Counting crows. Sha la 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 la.
Master John Timer. That's not how he sounds.
Oh God. Oh my Lord. Yeah, so I don't even know. They find so the cops, they find the car that had been sold by Chris Crowe, and they're looking for him. They're looking for Christopher Crowe. Yeah. But obviously this is not a real person, and he's like off the map, and now he's a Rockefeller at this point. So there is even an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about and they name Christopher Crowe as a person of interest, aka Christopher Chichester,
aka Christopher Rockefeller, knows? Aka Christopher.
Well, they don't know. They don't know he's the Rockefeller.
Oh, right.
They only have these two connected names of Christopher Crowe and Christopher Chichester.
Okay, yeah.
So, and they even put pictures of him up on Unsolved Mysteries, and list him as a person of interest. Because they're like, there's this body back here. Maybe this guy had something to do with it. But apparently nobody that he knows in Manhattan watches trash TV. So no. It's just like moms in the Midwest, like, or me as a child.
Yeah.
Freaking myself out at night watching Unsolved Mysteries.
Me at my grandma's house.
And Current Affair.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So good. So the case continues to go on for years and years unsolved. So with his new Rockefeller persona, he ingratiates himself with like really, really super wealthy upper class New York society people in the early 90s.
Wasn't it through a neighbor who was like an art dealer?
He ends up like finding a place to live in Manhattan, and it's like he happens to be next door to this like art dealer, and ingratiates himself with this person. And but at this point he like nobody really knows how he got money to like even afford some of the stuff that he had, but he had like all the trappings of a rich person. He had the clothes, he wore ascots like an asshole. He had,
it's not a coincidence. It's called an ascot.
Yeah. He has this like posh yet hard to nail down European accent. He even has a fancy fucking dog. Oh. Like it's like I forget if it's what it's called, but it's like It's like a hunting dog or something. It's like
Oh.
so fancy.
Yeah.
He has an art collection because by virtue of knowing this next door neighbor, I think.
Yeah.
He also has lots of paranoia and other eccentricities. Eccentric. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I think it's eccentricities.
Okay, cool.
Also, I'd be super fucking paranoid if my whole life was lies.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
I'd killed people, I guess.
Yeah, and the cops are looking, and you know he saw that episode of Unsolved Mysteries. It was like, fuck.
Oh, shit.
But, like, Buffy and Muffy don't even have a TV, only at their summer home in the Hamptons.
Only in their kitchen where the help works.
Yeah.
And they don't go in there, so.
Yeah. So he's like bopping along, making friends, becoming a man about town again. Everybody's like, cool Rockefeller dude.
Yeah.
And he like claims he's from a line of the Rockefellers that's like, it's not like the most well known, but it's like and it's not like the most wealthy, but it's like they still got money, kind of. So he like
they're like the under the radar Rockefellers.
Yeah, they're like the chill Rockefellers. Like, I don't know how he found all this stuff out. He must have like gone to the library and like researched the shit out of the Rockefeller family, because he like picked a obscure enough branch and like knew what he was talking about enough to like.
I think it was all kind of like spurred from the art dealer neighbor, because he started finding an interest in art, and then all of a sudden he was like, oh, my like grandma died or my great aunt died, and it was so and so Rockefeller, and she was in the art world, and she knew that this Rockefeller had a collection, so she was like, oh yeah, that checks out. Like, it's like he like, I don't know, it was weird.
He knew what lies to tell to like the right people.
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
Like, make everything seem legit.
And then it was like, and then she wanted him to come to her parties and stuff because he was weird and eccentric, and like it made for a good, it made for like a good guest at her party. So then all of a sudden, because she accepted him, all these other people accepted him.
Yes.
So it just is like a domino effect.
Yeah, he like got his foot in the door with her.
Yeah.
And then it was like all uphill, I guess, from there. Downhill? I don't know.
I don't know which one means good and which one means bad.
I don't know.
I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, because I feel like trying to go uphill like is super hard.
Yeah, downhill's easy, but then sometimes people use it like, oh, it's all downhill from there, like it was a shit show.
Yeah, like, and shit definitely rolls downhill. So
yeah.
So he eventually he goes to all these like fun parties and stuff. He gets invited to this Clue party, like Clue the game.
Yeah,
and it's like a Clue themed game. Like you have to dress up as a character. And he was Professor Plum, and he meets a woman named Sandra Boss at this party. She's dressed up as Miss Scarlet, and he totally woos her, which is crazy because she's like this super accomplished, wealthy, snobby, waspy, just like she's a bad bitch. Like I don't know. She's confident. She's cool. Maybe not cool. I don't know. She was like testifying about him, and I was just like, oh, like she has a very affected, like snobby accent. It's awful.
Totally.
Anyway, so they get married in like the mid 90s, and they live out a decadent, weird, rich people marriage for several years.
That she fully funds, by the way.
Yeah, she's like, he's doing some things, and maybe making a little bit of money, but she's like pulling in she's making a lot of money. She's like an executive. She's like a top brass bad bitch.
Yeah.
So their relationship.
She's Sandra Boss.
She's Sandra Boss. It's true. So their relationship eventually becomes verbally and emotionally abusive, as he becomes more and more controlling and paranoid. Yeah. So it takes a turn. She leaves him in like 2000, but then he woos her back, and during this time of wooing, she gets pregnant, and she vows to make the marriage work for the sake of their baby together. Bad idea. So their baby girl was born in 2001. And by all accounts, he really loved his daughter, and she was like the only real thing in his life that he ever actually created. So she wasn't a work of fiction like everything else that he did. But eventually, Sandra was like, "Fuck this! You're a total and complete asshole," and she like started working on getting herself a divorce. And so once the divorce proceedings started going forward, her father was like, "Darling, we must hire a PI." So her dad hires a private investigator because, like, obviously he hates him.
Yeah.
And they start finding out all kinds of shit about him. And he obviously is not a real Rockefeller.
Yeah.
And to the surprise of no one, everything that he said was the lies. So they're done.
Yeah.
And as a result, he is only granted 3 supervised 8-hour visits per year.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That's fucking... But understandable.
Yeah, like she even packed up her and her daughter and moved to London to get the fuck as far away from him as possible.
Yeah.
But she would still bring their daughter back to New York so he could see her
3 times a year.
3 times a year.
But it was sad watching her testify because,
Yeah.
for one, well, her and then he also had a girlfriend before her that testified in this Netflix documentary, and it was like a real bummer because it felt like, you know, just the lawyers are like, like, you believed him. It feels like they're being interrogated at a few points or whatever.
Yeah,
and
they're victims in this whole thing. Like
totally.
And it's like who, like, you weren't there. You don't know what the relationship was between him and each person that he like fooled and ingratiated himself with, like, and especially like in an intimate relationship. Like there's like a lot of stuff that you just like have no idea what the relationship is. So it's super shitty. But like, but I think the thing that makes people so incredulous is that she's like, Sandra was just such an accomplished, like, she went to like Harvard and like she was like super educated, and was like, I don't know, I feel like a pretty, I don't know, jaded person. Like, I think if you've lived a life of I don't know, wealth, like you've seen a lot, you understand like how people work in society. And so I don't know, I think that's where people were like, what the fuck, how did you not figure this guy out? So
also, like, she was the provider, so I feel like she didn't have to question a lot of stuff. Like, she was probably pretty comfortable. And you know, he was like, oh, just like add me to your credit card, and she's like, okay. Like, she had all this wealth and stuff. She didn't need him for that aspect of her life, so it probably makes things a lot easier on him, especially because he can kind of just like ride her coattails, and she's not questioning that because she's already very wealthy and stuff. So
she's established, and she doesn't she doesn't need no man. So, but you know, this is like her partner and the father of her child. So this is like, it's hard. It's what a traumatic thing to go through. So, okay. So back to the supervised visits with his daughter. So during one of these visits, I think this is like 2008, maybe, he put together a plan basically to kidnap his daughter and disappear again. And he had many friends and contacts like all over that kind of unwittingly helped him kind of follow through with this plan. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but basically what was so crazy about this whole thing and what was part of eventual charges that were brought against him, he was walking with his daughter, and his daughter is always accompanied by a social worker, because they had to be supervised visits. And he basically had a driver waiting down the block for him, and told the driver, oh, there's going to be this weird guy following me. he just like, he's weird. I don't know. And so the driver was like, oh, sees the guy and he sees him walking with his daughter and thought he was like in danger or like felt uncomfortable. So he did everything he could to help get him and his daughter clear of the social worker, basically.
Yeah.
So basically he runs to the car, throws himself and his daughter inside the driver's car, and they take off, and like the social worker is like chasing them down, and like he got kind of the shit beat out of him, and he was dragged by the car for a while.
Yeah. Well, and then it was like, then he like got out of that car, got a friend, or they got in a taxi, they took a train, a friend picked him up. Like it was like this whole thing to like throw off
the trail. Yeah.
And also, so we only had to have everybody in on a little bit of the lie. It was all like, but it was pretty actually, I mean, smart, I guess.
Yeah, it was like a movie.
It was like a movie.
Like that he's so obsessed with movies, like he figured out a way to do it.
The Italian Job or something.
Yeah. He thought everything through. He even had purchased a house in like Baltimore, where he was going to take his daughter and just like hide out, basically.
Change his name again.
However, at this time there were amber alerts. So, and his ex-wife is wealthy. Like Sandra's like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
We're finding my daughter. Amber alert goes out. His picture is plastered all over the place, all over the news. Like a rich white lady's little girl is missing.
Yeah.
So everybody's on it.
Yeah.
So he makes it to Baltimore still, but a couple of his friends along the way that helped him were like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I just helped him. So they contact the police. And then the woman who he bought the house from in Baltimore contacted the police and she was like, he's here at this house that I just sold him for sure. So they get him, take the daughter away, arrest him. He's fucked.
Yeah. Totally.
So, and he's it's not just like the cops. It's the FBI.
Yeah.
If you kidnap anybody and take them across state lines, the FBI is involved.
Well, also, did she, because she was so high profile, I think, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go across state lines, it's always FBI. So he gets grilled by the FBI, and there's this one woman who like heads up the investigation who's a fucking badass. I forget what her name is, but they show part of the initial interview that she does with him, and she's just like, knock this fucking bullshit off and tell me your real name. And I'm like, woo, bitch. He's in trouble. I would not want to be in that room right now.
Oh, God. So
they eventually start pulling apart all of his crazy lies, and they start to get to the bottom of everything.
Yeah.
So he goes on trial in 2009, I think. And on June 12th, 2009, the jury found him guilty of the charges of parental kidnapping and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. He was found not guilty of the charge of assault and battery and of using a false name. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but those charges sound contradictory. But whatever.
But he was using a false name. That's weird.
Yeah. Oh, I think this is when he changed his name in this time where he was divorced from his wife. He was calling himself Chip Smith, I think.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay.
So, but he was still known as Clark Rockefeller to everybody else. I don't know. So he's found guilty. He goes to jail. He's sentenced to 4 to 5 years in state prison for the kidnapping count and a concurrent 2 or 3 years on the assault charge. But then as the FBI are investigating all this other stuff, they start to connect the dots with the disappearance of Jonathan and his wife Linda. Jonathan Sohos.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to say their last name. Unfortunately, I feel bad about that. Sohos.
Yeah.
So but the FBI has to pull another case together because that's totally separate charges.
Yeah.
So they want to work fast on this so that he doesn't like do his time and get out, and and then he would disappear again. They know he would. So they they start working hard on this. And on March 15th of 2011, Los Angeles County prosecutors charge him with the murder of Jonathan Sohus. So he's in trouble. He's in big trouble. The murder trial, so they have a full-on murder trial for him in March and April of 2013. He was convicted of first-degree murder on April 10th, 2013. Wow. And the verdict included an enhancement for use of a deadly weapon to bludgeon Jonathan to death. They found that out when they
analyzed the skeletal remains. Yeah.
So during the trial, he, of course, fired his lawyer and represented himself because he's a psychopath.
Well, I think anyone who thinks they're smarter than everyone does that.
Yeah.
And it's never a good idea. So obviously you're not smarter than anyone.
Yeah. Like in his first trial for kidnapping, his defense attorneys tried to say they tried to do the whole insanity defense, which is that's never going to be a thing.
Although if it should have worked for anyone, maybe someone who's changed their name 30 times.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah.
So he's representing himself in the murder trial.
Yeah.
Your life is on the line, dude.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a lot of circumstantial evidence. So, I don't know. That's why he probably felt he could represent himself. I don't know. So he maintains his innocence during the sentencing and hearing, and he said, quote, "I want to assert my innocence and that I firmly believe that the victim's wife killed the victim. But be that as it may, once again, I did not commit the crime."
Huh.
So he's blaming it all on Linda, who he most likely killed.
Yeah.
But since her body was never found, that's why he was using that logic. But her body was never found, but she's obviously presumed dead.
His whole life is circumstantial evidence that he's done awful things.
He's the worst. He's such a garbage person. So with good behavior credits, he will be eligible for parole in September of 2029. He'll be 68 years old.
That's not that far away.
No, it's not. It's 11 years from now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's it? In 11 years, it's going to be 2029.
That's terrifying. That's so fucking
It's going to be 2020 in 2 years from today.
Ugh.
That's crazy.
We're in the future, guys.
2001 seemed far away. Or it seemed like a big deal.
Yeah, the millennium.
And now it's fucking 2018 shit.
I know. It's crazy. Well, he's still in prison though. He was moved to San Quentin in 2016 and he's still in San Quentin.
Huh.
So, that's cool.
I wonder what he calls himself now.
What his prison name is?
Yeah. Is he prisoner number A723 or something? But then he's oh, no. Now this week I'm A727 or whatever. It's ugh.
I wonder what the other inmates call him. Fake
Bitch.
Rockefeller. Yeah. Cuntafeller. I don't know.
Rockefellatio my dong.
Shabby chic. I don't know. He's a fucking mess. Fuck him. I hope he stays in prison way longer. Yeah.
He probably won't. He'll probably be out soon on good behavior because he's people like him for some reason.
Yeah, he sucks. Terrifying that somebody just lied their way so far in life. He really did. He faked it till he made it. He was faking it till he was making it.
Yeah. Wow.
He really did it.
It's proof that you can do that.
You can. You can be anything you want to be, guys. This is America.
You can dress for the job you don't understand.
They put him in charge of the Euro bonds because he was had this weird European accent. That was like what the thought process was, I think, for like everything.
He wore like little European ascots. And,
yeah, he wore ascots.
Yeah, maybe he wore like a little European hat. Maybe he carried a man purse, which is very European.
Yeah, an attaché.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like all the people who like don't make decisions are just like, fuck this guy, dude.
Yeah.
He's so weird.
All the people who have like actually lived life and like had to navigate like their
Assholes.
own like had to navigate how to get things done instead of just being handed things. They're all like, oh yeah, something's off with this guy.
Ite petite, man.
My resolution for 2018 is to be more ite petite.
Oh my god! In what aspects of life? Like all of them, or like
in all the ascots of life, I'm gonna be ite petite.
the finest wine and dogs and I don't know. Man, it's hard being fancy.
It is hard. I'm definitely gonna change my name a few times this year because why not?
Cool.
It makes it a bitch for email and your driver's license, but
it is a hard thing to do. Let me tell you, changing your name is not easy. Like it in real life, like the legit way.
Right. The legal way.
You have to go to like the Social Security office and like stand in line, and you thought the goddamn DMV was hard. You still have to do the DMV too.
Yeah.
You have to do all the shittiest shit.
Your health insurance, you have to do it everywhere, right?
If you're getting married and you're waffling about whether or not you should change your name, just don't. Like, do it in your heart and your mind, but like no, I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want.
Do it in your heart.
Just be ready for like also too, like changing it on everything, like on your fucking like frequent flyer shit. That was the hardest part.
That's what my boss says at work. She still can't. She still hasn't been able to change it, and she changed it like over a year ago.
Oh my god.
And so she can't get her miles, and it's really annoying.
Oh my god, it's such a pain in the ass. So that's the story of a fake Rockefeller.
Oh
and
god.
Don't be crazy, guys. Don't lie.
No.
Wow. What a fucking joke.
He was not excellent.
Not excellent. And he still maintains that he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't hurt anybody. What a fucking asshole, man. Just took no responsibility. When they interview him on 48 Hours, I'm just like, this guy is a dick.
Yeah. Oh. Well, he just has that sense that he thinks he's smarter than everyone, which is so awful. Especially when you're like, dude, your life sucks. Like, you're not smarter than anyone. Yeah. Have some perspective.
I mean, he is smarter than some of the people who are in high positions of power. Yeah, which is terrifying.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
He's probably on social medias if you want to follow him.
God, please no.
We don't know what his name is.
I just remember this whole story coming out in like 2013 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like obsessed with this story, so I'm really glad that we got to do it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I learned so much more than I ever bargained for.
Yeah. Well, Karen and Georgia covered more like the murdery aspects, but I feel like they didn't talk really about all the little details that we talked about.
Yeah, they did this story. I think Karen did it in like their 30th episode. So it's a good one if you want more of the true crime bend of it instead of us just making fun of this asshole.
But that's my favorite part. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, but that's all I got.
Yeah, 2018. Tell a friend about this podcast. Maybe share this episode.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Follow us on all the things: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at DTFU Podcast. Send us an email if you'd like at DTF Podcast. Am I saying that right?
DTFU Podcast.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm kind of hungover. So, full disclosure.
She has bubble brain.
DTFU Podcast at gmail.com. And go to our website. It's dtfupodcast.com.
We have shirts for sale.
We have shirts.
Oh,
they're done, guys.
They're done.
They're as of this episode, they're en route to my house, and then once I get them, I'll send them out to everybody that's ordered them. So
that includes me.
Yeah.
Also join the Facebook group. It's very fun. We have a bunch of new members.
Yeah. What's up, new peeps?
What's up, new peeps? And I didn't even know this, but Facebook was like, hey, you should welcome the new members. And I was like, oh, that's probably a good idea.
That's a nice thing to do.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to do that.
Cool.
But yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe give us a review on iTunes. That'd be a nice thing.
We're almost up to 100 reviews. We're getting really close. Well, we're in the 70s.
That's cool.
Of like, people ratings, excuse me.
Yeah, you could just do like 5 stars and like leave it at that.
Yeah.
5 stars.
But reviews are good too.
Yeah, but I really, really love reading the reviews. There's some really funny ones in there.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Every time we get one, I read it and I just am like, man, I like take screenshots of them and stuff.
Make a scrapbook.
Yeah. You guys are really, really nice.
Yeah.
We love you a lot.
We do.
Happy New Year, guys. Be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whoa, are you okay?
My microphone just fell off.
Uh-oh.
It was the second time this episode. Hopefully no one notices. Anyway.
All
be
right.
excellent.
Be excellent. Ite petite. Sorry.
E.T. petite. E.T. petites.
All right.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.